Later that summer, when Mrs. Penmark looked back and remembered, when she was caught up in a despair so deep that she knew there was no way out, it seemed that June 1st, the day of the Fern Grammar School picnic, was the day she had last known contentment or felt peace. Saying goodbye to Kenneth, it seemed to her at that moment that she had everything a woman could desire, and she held on to her happiness, which was wise, for it was the last she was ever to feel.
Why, morning, Rhoda.
Morning, Daddy.
Up and dressed and ready for the day and wearing your best perfume?
Yes, I am, Daddy.
That's right. Today's the day of the school picnic. Look, there's a breeze off the water.
Miss Fern says there always is.
And she says it never rains the 1st of June, too. Don't count on it.
Are you leaving today?
My plane goes in an hour. Off to Washington and the Pentagon and a climate that coddles eggs.
I like coddled eggs.
You like everything. You're just too good to be true.
How long will you be gone?
Sealed orders, darling. All I can tell you is I'll be back as soon as I can. Now, what'll you give me for a basket of kisses?
For a basket of kisses, I'll give you a basket of hugs.
I like your hugs.
I like your kisses, Dad. You're so big and strong.
I'll miss you. The general doesn't have one pretty girl on his whole staff.
I wish he didn't have my daddy. I'll miss you every day.
Will you write to me?
Do you want me to?
Of course I do.
Then I'll write to you every day.
And every time I write your mother, I'll put a note in for you, too.
Will you really?
Really and truly. And if the general tells a really good joke, I'll send an official report.
Oh, that won't be very often, Daddy. You better send me the bad ones, too.
Sweetheart, I will. I shall write daily to both my sweethearts. Unless somebody makes a mistake and starts a shooting war and we all have to go underground.
Would you really go underground if there was a war?
Yes, I would, and by gum, I'd go fast, too.
You said by gum because I was here.
Well, that's right, I did.
Darling.
Yeah. I will, sweetheart. Every minute I'm away. I'll wire you never on the ground. You two take care of each other.
We will. That'll be Monica and Emery. They wanted to say a last goodbye to you before you left.
Oh, sure.
Is it all right?
Perfect, darling.
Right in, Monica. Come in, Emery.
Just the abusive neighbors from upstairs. No lives of their own to lead other people. Have to be in on everything. I was speaking to my brother Emery as well as myself. She never gets a chance to talk when I'm around. Yes, I thought you not say something, Colonel.
I guess it'll have to be goodbye. My taxi's waiting, and I don't want to rush through traffic.
Well, don't worry about your two pretty girls, Ken. We'll keep an eye on them. If they begin to look peaked, we'll send up smoke signals.
Counting on you, Emery. Don, Monica.
Goodbye, Kenneth.
This is it, sweetheart. Goodbye, big guys.
Goodbye, Daddy.
I promised myself I wouldn't
Joke,
go down.
sweet. It's just another empty month or two. We'll get through it somehow.
I'll take this, Ken.
Goodbye.
Oh, boy. He hates to go, and you hate to let him go.
Not very self-sufficient.
Well, I am, and it's not so good. You're in love, both of you lucky characters. I wish I were. You sound like Fred Astaire tap-tapping across the room. What have you got on your shoes?
I run over my heels. So Mother had these iron pieces put on, so they'd last longer.
Oh.
I'm afraid I can't take any credit. It was Rhoda's idea entirely.
I think they're very nice. They save money.
Oh, you penurious little sweetheart. And you look just like a princess in that red and white dotted Swiss. I thought children wore coveralls and play suits to picnics. Now, aren't you afraid you'll soil the dress or you'll scuff those lovely new shoes?
Oh, she won't soil the dress and she won't scuff the shoes. Rhoda never gets anything dirty. Though how she manages it, I don't know.
By the way, nobody has to take a Rhoda to the bus. I made 24 cupcakes and Miss Fern will be by to pick them up.
Oh, good.
But before she does, I have 2 little presents for you, my darling.
Presents?
The first is from Emery. It's a pair of dark glasses with rhinestone decorations to keep the sun out of your pretty blue eyes. I'll try them on you. Now, who is this delightful young woman now. But it's still just right for an 8-year-old. However, it has a garnet set in it, and we'll have to have that changed for a turquoise, since turquoise is your birthstone. So I'll find out where I can get the stone changed and clean, and then it's yours.
Could I have both stones and the garnet too?
Rhoda, what?
Oh, but of
Hey,
course she
honest.
may. How wonderful to meet such a natural little girl. She knows what she wants, and she asks for it. Not like these over-civilized little pets who have to go through analysis before they can choose an ice cream set.
Aunt Monica, dear sweet Aunt Monica. So am I to keep this now?
Yes, you ought to keep it till I can find out where to get the stone changed.
Then I'll put it in my box.
Leroy! Morning, Miss Paymar. Guess I'm early today, but it's my day to do the windows on this side.
Oh, yes, Leroy, you can begin in the den.
Yes, ma'am. Did I tell you how nice your hair looks this morning?
Thank you, Leroy.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Pardon me. Morning.
I like garnets, but I like turquoise better.
Oh, you old-fashioned little dear. But I'll tell you one thing, Rhoda. I think you worry too much when you're not the very best at everything. That's one reason Emery and I thought you should have some presents today. You wanted that penmanship medal very much, didn't you?
It's the only gold medal Miss Fern gives.
Yes.
And it was really mine. Everybody knew I wrote the best hand. I just don't see why Claude Dangle got the medal.
Rhoda, these things happen to us all the time, and when they do, we simply accept them. Now, you know, I've told you to put it out of... Sorry, I know you don't like people pawing over you.
It was mine. The medal was mine.
Forget it. Put it out of your mind.
I won't.
Excuse me, I gotta get some more water. Pardon me. Excuse me.
Leroy, you really lost your senses. Ow! This is my apartment house. I employ you. I've tried to give you the benefit of every doubt because you've raised a family. I thought of you as emotionally immature, torn by irrational rages, a bit on the psychopathic side. But after this demonstration, I think my diagnosis was entirely too mild. You're obviously a schizophrenic with paranoid overtones. And I have had enough of your discourtesy and surliness, and so have the tenants in this building. My brother Emery wanted to discharge him. I have been on his side, though, with misgivings. I shall protect you no longer.
He didn't mean it, Monica. It was an accident. I'm sure it was.
He meant to do it. I know Leroy well.
Oh, it was no accident, Christine. It was the spiteful act of a neurotic child.
He meant to do it. You made up your mind to do it when you went through the room.
Rhoda.
I was looking at you when you made up your mind to wet us.
I've just been caught.
Look, my patience is at an end. You might as well know it now. Go about your work.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, he has the mind of an 8-year-old, but he's managed to produce a family, so I keep him on. Oh, that'll be Miss Fern. Oh, you've done it. Perfect. He's a sloppy old
Come in, Miss Fern. We're nearly ready, I think.
I'm a bit ahead of time, as usual.
Oh, the scatterbrain. I left the cupcakes upstairs. Rhoda, would you help me bring them down?
Yes, of course.
They're all packed.
Why, good morning, Miss Fern.
That's a perfect curtsy, Rhoda.
Why, thank you, Miss Fern.
She does such things well.
Oh, she does everything well, as you must know better than I.
And as a person, does she fit in well at the school?
Well, let me think. In what way, Mrs. Penmark?
Well, Rhoda's been... quite know how to say this. There's a mature quality about Rhoda that's disturbing in a child. My husband and I thought that a school like yours, where you believe in discipline and the old-fashioned virtues, might teach you to be a bit more of a child.
Yes, I see what you mean. In some ways, many ways, Rhoda is the most satisfactory student the school's ever had. She's never been absent, never been tardy. She's the only child in the history of the school to have made 100 in deportment, self-reliance, and conservation on the playground each month for a full school year. Now, if you dealt with as many children as I have, Mrs. Penmark, you'd realize what a remarkable record that is. And she has many good qualities. Well, she's certainly no tattletale.
Oh?
One of our children broke a window across the street, and we knew that Rhoda knew who it was. When questioned her about it and told her it was her duty as an honorable citizen to report the offender, she just went right on, eating her apple, shaking her head, denying she knew anything about it, and looking us over with that pitying, calculating look she has at certain times.
I know that looks so well.
Oh, but of course that was admirable too, for she was merely being loyal to her playmate.
Then do the other children like her? Is she popular?
The other children?
Here we are.
Oh, well, I guess I should be going, for my sisters and the others will be waiting. Goodbye, Mrs. Penmar.
Goodbye, Miss Fern. May it be everything a picnic should be.
Thank you.
Come see and prosperous voyage.
Oh, no time, we're off.
Bye-bye.
We'll take good care of her. Bless you both.
Have a lovely day. Now the old set's left alone with nothing to do.
I suppose I could go through the dreary business of trying to make my face look presentable. It happens every morning.
Your face. Think about mine.
I always feel so gloomy when Kenneth goes away. Anything could happen before we see each other again. You know, there's an old saying, we die a little at parting.
Oh, my dear. We die a little every day if you want to brood about it. Now, let's make a party of this. You're having Emery and Reginald Tasker for lunch. Couldn't I help with that?
What do you feed a criminologist?
Oh, prussic acid, blue vitriol, ground glass.
Hot weather things.
Well, Reggie thrives on buckets of blood and sudden death.
Well, how many mysteries has he written?
A complete set of his works would encircle the Empire State Building. Or me. Oh, come on, I'm a garrulous old hag, but I can grind glass. We're not going to let you be lonely.
All right, Mom.
Shh. That know-it-all Monica Breedlove. She don't think nobody knows nothing but her. I could show that bitch plenty. Yeah, young Trough and Miss Penmark, she don't get enough what she needs. I could give it to her. Rhoda now. She's a smart little girl. Almost as smart as me. She sees through me and I see through her. By damn, that little girl's smart.
Monica, really?
But I did meet him. Nobody ever believes me when I tell them I met Sigmund Freud.
Oh, come now, they believe you.
Well, you mean it's automatic flattery? They know I'm old enough and they voice doubts to make me feel better. Anyway, it wasn't Freud who analyzed me. It was Dr. Kettlebaum in London.
Oh, now we're off.
And this was my choice, too. Not that I minimize Freud's professional standing, for I still consider him to be the genius of our time. But Dr. Kettlebaum was more simpatico, if you know what I mean, Reggie.
It means simpatico, if you know what that means.
Freud loathed educated women.
Oh?
Especially the ones that talk back to him. And I loathed his Germanic prejudice against feminine independence, which he could not conceal.
Was Freud prejudiced?
Indeed he was. Not consciously, though, but he just bristled when I suggested that women had more sense than men. Now, Dr. Kettlebaum believed in the power of the individual soul and considered sex of only trivial interest. His mind was less literal, more mystic, like my own.
Really? Did the analysis do you any good, actually?
Well, it broke up my marriage. I looked to the bottom of my soul. What a spectacle. When I came back, I asked Mr. Breedlove for a divorce. He didn't oppose it. So then I decided to do what I'd always wanted, which was to set up a home for my brother Emery. Now, I don't think Emery really appreciates it, but what woman is Emery?
I can stand anything except the talk of your analysis, the analyzing of your friends, and me. I, for one, don't want to look into the bottom of my soul.
I can understand that perfectly. We're all so sensitive about these things. The truth absolutely disgusts us. Now, I have come to the conclusion that Emery is a larvated homosexual.
Well, I'll be a middle-aged mongoloid from Memphis. What does larvated mean?
It means hidden by moss, concealed.
Right. It means something that hasn't come to the surface as yet.
Yeah, you can say that again. Sexual doesn't change the whole concept of what goes on among them.
Now, Monica, where do you get these ideas?
Pure association, Reggie, the best evidence of all. Now, Emery is 40. He's 39 years old. He's never married, and I doubt that he's ever had a serious love affair.
How would you know if they were serious?
Well, let's look. What are Emery's chief interests in life? They are fishing, murder mysteries in which housewives are dismembered, baseball, canasta, singing in male quartets, and how does Emery spend Sundays? He spends them on a boat, fishing with Reggie and a whole lot of other men. And are there any ladies present on these occasions? There are not.
You're damn right there are not.
Well, I suppose you're all shocked, aren't you? Well, you shouldn't be. Homosexuality is triter than incest. Dr. Kenwall, just a matter of personal preference. Now, I'm perfectly frank about myself. Subconsciously, I have an incestuous fixation on it. Now, I know that's not normal, but that's the way it is.
Thanks a lot, sis. Thanks a lot. Can't we talk about something normal? Like murder? Anybody mind if I smoke a cigar?
What are you trying to prove, Emery?
Oh,
Why don't we have our tea over here? Relax away from the table.
Yes, we've gone through sex. Let's try homicide.
any change is for the better.
Reggie, you're the expert.
All right, I'll oblige. Now, I've been collecting data recently on a Mrs. Allison. News Budget wants an article on her. Although I can't say she's a very flaming subject. Just an unimaginative nurse who decided she was in the position to kill people after their life insurance. Ran up quite a list while she was at it.
Well, now, was this recent?
Well, last year and the year before, she'd be going still, but she was too stupid to vary her poisons. With the result that all her victims had similar symptoms. Nausea, burning throat, intestinal pains, convulsions. To say nothing of the conventional life insurance policies made out to the old girl with the arsenic.
Oh, sure.
Please, I don't like to hear about such things.
You don't?
No.
Oh, isn't that an interesting psychic block? Why would Christine dislike hearing about murder?
Monica, I have an aversion to violence in any form. You know, I even hate the revolver Kenneth keeps in the house.
Now, do you dislike the revolver more than the poisons?
I hate them both.
Now, if you'll just say the first thing that comes into your mind, we will get to the root of your anxiety. Just say it no matter how silly it seems to you. Reggie will tell his story and Christine will associate.
Nonsense, Monica.
What do you mean associate?
Oh.
Well, the end of the story is like this. Now, towards the middle of May last year, Mrs. Allison visited her sister-in-law's family. She arrived in time for lunch, when her niece Shirley reminded her that she had promised to bring her a birthday present. Well, Mrs. Allison was so upset at having forgotten to bring the present, she ran right out and bought candy and soft drinks for the entire family.
Yeah, do you think of anything?
Absolutely nothing.
But, actually, Mrs. Allison had remembered to bring a present. It was 10 cents worth of arsenic.
Oh,
There must be something on your mind, Christine. Something.
What I was thinking of that moment was of how devoted the Fern sisters were to my father when he was a radio commentator.
I don't think I understand this so far. Well, how did you know this?
Well, they told me when I entered Rhoda in their school.
Now, isn't your father Richard Bravo?
Yes,
Oh, I thought so. Oh, the entire nation was devoted to Bravo during the war.
Why, yes, I listen to Bravo every evening.
Oh, Reggie, is there more of your story?
Of course. Well, when Mrs. Allison returned from the store, she opened a bottle of sarsaparilla for her niece, and then watched the little girl's convulsions for over an hour.
Oh,
Now,
no.
Christine, not thinking at all. What's your second association?
Good one already, that's right.
Well, what I was thinking at that moment was even sillier. I've always had the feeling that I was an adopted child and that the Bravos weren't my real parents.
Oh, you poor innocent darling. Don't you know the changeling fancy is the commonest of childhood? Why, I once thought I was a foundling of royal blood. Plantagenet, I think it was, and Emery was a Tudor.
Have you always had the suspicion that you were adopted?
Yes, always.
But no evidence.
Only tell my dreams too? I'd rather hear the murder story.
Well, we will hear more of the story, and then we're going to hear more from Christine.
Monica, you're a ghoul. Why do you always want to dig at people's insides?
Oh, who doesn't? Now, come on, Reggie. Furnish the final details.
Well, Mrs. Allison hurried back to town on an urgent errand. She had forgotten to pay the last premium on the little girl's life insurance policy, and today was the last day of grace.
Stupid.
Well, Mrs. Allison was certainly crude, but there have been artists in her line, really gifted operators like Bessie Danker. Now, Bessie never made a mistake, never left a trace, never committed an imperfect crime.
Who is this?
Why, just the most amazing woman in the annals of homicide, Bessie Danker. She was beautiful, brainy, and she was ruthless. Now, she never used the same poisons twice. Her own father, for example, died of rabies, supposedly contracted from a mad dog. It just so happens that all his money went to Bessie.
Did you say Bessie Danker?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Oh, I think Christine's had enough of this. Perhaps we'd better change the subject.
I suppose we could.
And we shall. But Christine, dear, I'm a little puzzled. Is there something that...
No, Monica, tell us more about Dr. Kettlebomb.
Oh, no, you leave it to Monica. She has 3 subjects: sex, psychiatry, and pills. Now, sex and psychiatry are one and the same. I'd say Christine tried pills.
By pills, Emery means modern pharmaceutical discoveries which have revolutionized medicine since 1935. If you took them, Emery, you'd be more of a man.
Oh, I should have looked at this before. Now, I've got a lecture date at 3:30, and I shan't be too early if I leave now. Forgive me for filling the air with horror stories, Mrs. Penmark.
No, you should forgive me, Mr. Tasker. I have some mania or phobia. I become quite unreasonable when I hear such things.
Well, I hate the bloody stuff myself, and I only do it to make a living. So let's be friends.
Oh, of course.
Bye-bye now. Goodbye, Monica.
Goodbye, Bluebeard.
Bye-bye now, Reggie. We'll see you Sunday. I hear the redfish are running.
Oh, good. Bye-bye now.
Take care on the road. Bring by that new rod to show me sometime. Oh, yes. I want to remind you about time for the news. Do you mind if I tune in?
No, I'll just clear these things off.
I'll lend a hand.
Thank you.
Nothing more important has happened for many years in the field of foreign affairs. I interrupt this broadcast to... I have been asked to announce that one of the children on the annual outing of the Fern Grammar School was accidentally drowned in the bay this afternoon.
Christine, there's something...
More news of this tragic affair is expected momentarily. Station WNB in Tallahassee, bringing you...
Oh, it wasn't Rhoda, dear. It was some poor confused child afraid of its own shadow. Rhoda is far too silver-minded child. It was not Rhoda.
The name of the victim of the drowning at the Fern School picnic. It was Claude Daigle, the only child of Mr. and Mrs. White Daigle of 126 Willow Street. He appears to have fallen into the water from an abandoned wharf on the Fern property. It is a mystery how the little boy got on the wharf, for all the children had been forbidden to play near or on it. But his body was found off the end of the landing, wedged among the pilings. The guards who brought up the body applied artificial respiration without result. There were bruises on the forehead and hands, but it is assumed that these were caused by the body washing against the pilings. And now, back to the national news.
Poor child. Poor little boy.
They'll send the children home immediately. They'll be on their way now.
This will be the end of the picnic.
Rhoda. Hey. Remember, I didn't know anything about death, or didn't touch me closely until I was much older. The teacher I adored died. My whole world changed and darkened.
Well, we'd better go now, dear. This is no time for well-meaning friends to look on from the
I
sidelines.
don't know what to say to her.
You'll meet it better alone, dear. Honestly, you will.
Yes, you will. It's between you and Rhoda now. Nobody else can help.
I suppose you're right. She'll have missed lunch. I'll make her a sandwich.
Children get these shocks all the time, dear. Life's a grim business.
Yes, we'll be upstairs if you need us.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you both.
Claude Daigle was drowned.
I know, it was on the radio.
He was drowned. So then they were all rushing and calling and hurrying to see if they could make him alive again. But they couldn't. So then they said the picnic was over and we had to go home.
Glad you're home.
So got a peanut butter sandwich and milk.
Darling, did you see him?
Yes. Then they laid a blanket over him.
But did you see him taken from the water?
Yes. They laid him out on the lawn and worked and worked. But it didn't help.
Darling, I want you to get these pictures right out of your mind. I don't want you to be frightened or bothered at all. These things happen sometimes, and when they do, we simply accept them.
Ooh, but I thought it was exciting. So could I have the peanut butter sandwich?
Yes, dear, of course. I'm just getting it ready for you.
Thank you, Mommy.
Here, dear.
Thank you, Mommy.
Now, darling, you're controlling yourself very well, but just the same, it was an unfortunate thing to see and remember. I know how you feel, darling.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't feel any way at all.
Have you been naughty?
Why, no, Mother. What will you give me for a basket of kisses?
I'll give you a basket of hugs.
Mother, I'm going to go skate on the asphalt now.
And you should, dear.
How come you can go out skating and enjoying yourself when your poor little classmate's still not damn from drowning in the bay? Why think you'd be in the house crying your eyes out? Oh, either that, being at church, lighting a candle on a blue cup.
Bye, Mother. Bye, Mother.
No, you ask me and I'll say you don't even feel sorry for what happened to that boy.
Why should I feel sorry? It was Claude Daigle got drowned, not me.
Then the knight, a little steed, and sought what way he could find out of this land. And a path appearing, he began to make his way along it, and it began at that time to grow dark. The knight had not gone more than a dozen paces before he saw beside the path a beautiful lady who laid out a fair damask cloth under an oak, and set thereon cakes and dainties and a flagon with 2 silver cups.
Mommy,
Yes, dear.
why aren't you reading?
Just thinking, I guess.
What about the accident?
Partly. And about my telephone call. The circuits were busy.
Oh. What are cakes and dainties?
Little cakes, I think.
Oh.
And set thereon cakes and dainties and a flagon with 2 silver cups. Night, she called. Night, come eat and drink with me, for you're hungry and thirsty, and I am alone. Did you take your vitamins, dear?
Yes. I took one before. This is my second. my eyes, but I won't be asleep.
I know. Then he let his palfrey graze nearby, and he feasted with the lady, who gave him loving looks, sweeter than the wine from the flagon, though the wine was sweet and strong. And in this fashion, the time passed, till the light was gone out of the wood, and it was dark. The knight heard the music of the oboe softly playing, and he perceived that a fair pavilion stood nearby under the oak trees, lighted by a torch at the entrance where there were servants going to and fro. And he was aware that the pavilion had not been there in the daylight, but had been created out of darkness by magic. Rhoda. Yes, operator, I did make a long-distance call to Washington, D.C. Mr. Richard Bravo, that's right. Hello, Daddy? Daddy, I'm so glad you're at home. No, I've been trying to get you all evening. Daddy, in your last letter, you said you might be coming to Tallahassee. Are you sure you're well enough to be doing such things? No, that's not very far from here. Daddy, could you come and see me? Or could you make it sooner? Could you... No, nothing like that. Daddy, do you remember that recurrent dream I used to have when I was a little girl? Well, I'm beginning to have it again and again. Oh, I know what the Freudians say, but even they tell you that... No, it's something that I dream. All right, Daddy, I will. And tell Kenneth I'm finishing my first letter to him tonight. I'll send it airmail special first thing in the morning. All right, Dad. And Daddy, I will see you, won't I? Good night, dear. Yes, of course, Miss Fern. I meant to come and see you. I got your note.
We're in such distress, all of us at the school, and we've suffered such a blow losing one of the children that way. I'm sure you'll forgive us for going over and over things. Rikess?
I think everyone has been worried and puzzled and saddened.
I don't think I've ever known any happening to puzzle so many people in so many ways, and I can help so few of them. I've just come from seeing Mrs. Daigle. Of course, our first thoughts were of her. The rest of us are touched only lightly by this tragedy. She'll have to live with it the rest of her days.
No.
I've seen her several times, and each time she's asked me to find out from you if you have any possible clue as to where the penmanship medal might be.
Was it lost?
It wasn't found with the body and has completely disappeared.
Well, I didn't know this.
Why, good morning, Miss Fern.
Good morning, Rhoda.
Mother,
Yes, dear.
may I go sit under the scuppernong arbor for a while and read my book?
Of course, dear.
It's so shady there, and I can see your window, and you can watch me from the window, and I like to be where you can see me.
Is it a new book?
Yes, it's Elsie Dinsmore, the one I got for a prize in Sunday school.
I'll be right here.
I'll be there all the time. Goodbye, Miss Fern.
It did occur to me that, well, perhaps Rhoda might have mentioned a detail or two to you which she hadn't remembered when she spoke with me. You see, she was the last to see the Daigle child alive.
Are you sure of that?
Yes.
I hadn't realized.
About an hour or so after we arrived at the estate, one of our older pupils came on Rhoda and the Daigle boy at the far end of the grounds. The boy was upset, crying, and Rhoda was standing in front of him, blocking his path. The older girl was amongst the trees, so neither child saw her. She was just about to intervene when Rhoda shoved the boy and snatched at his medal. But the boy broke free and ran down the beach in the direction of the old wharf where he was later found. Rhoda followed him, not running, but just walking along, taking her time, the older girl said.
Well, has it occurred to you that the older girl might not have been telling the truth?
No, that's not at all likely. You see, she was one of the monitors we'd appointed to keep an eye on the younger children that day. She's 15 and has been with us since kindergarten days. No, Mrs. Penmark, she was telling precisely what she saw. We know her well.
And this was the last time that Claude was seen?
A little later, it might have been around noon, one of the guards saw Rhoda coming off the wharf. He shouted a warning to her, but by then she was on the beach again, and he decided to forget the matter. He didn't identify the girl by name, but she was wearing a red dress, he said. And Rhoda was the only girl who wore a dress that day. 1 o'clock, the lunch bell rang. Claude was missing when roll was called. You know the rest, I think.
Yes, of course, but this is quite serious. If Rhoda was on the wharf.
Not serious. No, not really. Not when you've seen as much of how children behave as I have. Well, children conceal things from adults. Now, suppose Rhoda did follow the Daigle child onto the wharf. Well, so many things could have happened quite innocently. Well, he could have concealed himself in the old boathouse, and then when discovered, could have backed away from Rhoda and fallen into the water.
Yes, that could have happened.
Now, Claude, although frail, was an excellent swimmer, and of course Rhoda knew that. Once he'd fallen in the water, she would have expected him to swim ashore. Oh, how was she to know that those treacherous pilings were in the exact spot where he fell?
No, she couldn't possibly.
Perhaps the thought in Rhoda's mind when he fell in the water was that he'd ruin his new suit and she'd get a scolding for causing it. When he didn't swim ashore at once, she may have thought, with the logic of childhood, that he'd hidden under the wharf to frighten her, to escape her. Later on, when it was too late to do anything, she was afraid to admit what had happened.
Then you do think that Rhoda knows something that she's not admitting?
I think, like many a frightened soldier, she deserted under fire. Oh, but this is not a serious charge, my dear. Few of us are courageous when tested.
But she has lied, though.
Is there any adult who hasn't lied? Smooth the lines from your brow, my dear. You're so much prettier when smiling.
Sure. Question, Rhoda, of course.
I wish you would. Though I doubt that you'll find out more than you already know.
Oh, Miss Fern, there was a question I wanted to ask you. There was a floral tribute at Claude's funeral sent by the children of the Fern School. I imagine that the children helped share in the expense, but I haven't been asked to pay my part.
Oh, that tribute. That wasn't nearly as expensive as the newspapers claimed. The money's been collected and the flowers paid for.
Well, perhaps you telephoned me and I was out.
No, my dear. We thought perhaps you would like to send flowers individually.
Why should I have wanted to send flowers individually? Rhoda wasn't friendly with the boy, and my husband and I had never even met the Daigles.
I don't know, my dear. There are three of us, you see, and in the hurry of making decisions...
You make excuses for Rhoda, and yet you admit that you didn't ask me to help pay for the flowers, and the reasons you give for not asking are obviously specious. Does this mean that in your mind, in the minds of your sisters, there's some connection between Rhoda's presence on the wharf and the Daigle boy's death?
I refuse to believe there's any connection.
And yet you have acted as if there were.
Perhaps we have.
This is a terrible tragedy for Mrs. Daigle, as you say. She's lost her only child. But if there were any shadow over Rhoda from what has happened, I shall have to live under it. And my husband, too. And as for Rhoda, she would not be happy in your school next year.
No, she would not. And since she would not, it'd be just as well that we make up our minds now that she will not be there.
And there is a shadow over Rhoda, and you've already decided not to ask her back?
Yes, we have made that decision.
But you can't tell me why?
Oh, I think her behavior in the matter of the medal would be sufficient explanation. Why, she has no sense of fair play. She's a poor loser. She doesn't play the game.
But surely you're not suggesting that there's any connection whatsoever between Claude's death and Rhoda's presence on the wharf.
Of course not. Well, such a possibility never entered our minds.
You'll have to answer that.
Of course.
Well, thanks. For Mrs. Daigle, Mr. Daigle. Now, you didn't have to let it sin, you know. Yes, well, you realize we followed ya. Yeah, I know we shouldn't have done it, but you see, well, I'm a little drunk. I guess you never get a little drunk, do you?
You're quite well, both of you.
Well, now, you just pay no attention to him, because he's all for good breeding. He was trying to stop me. I mean, you, Mrs. Penmark, you're a superior person, aren't you? You've always had plenty.
No, I'm not.
Oh, yes. Father was rich. Richard Bravo. I know. Well, me, I worked in the beauty parlor. Miss Fern here used to come there, but she looks down on me.
Oh, please, Mrs. Daigle.
Yes, she does. I was that trashy blonde, right? Well, now I've lost my boy and I'm a lush. Everybody knows it.
We're worried about Mrs. Daigle. She's been under a doctor's care. I'm afraid she's not herself.
Well, I know what I'm about, just the same. Just the same. Now, I call you Christine. I'm aware that you come from a high level of society. You probably made a debut and all that. And I always considered Christine such a gentle name. Hortense sounds flat, doesn't it? Well, that's me, Hortense. My gal Hortense, that's what they used to sing at me every day in school. My gal Hortense hasn't got much sense. Let's write her name on the privy fence. Well, I just think children can be very nasty, don't you? Oh, and you are just so attractive, Christine. You got such exquisite taste in clothing. Of course, you got amples of money to buy them with, don't you? Well, now look, what I came to see you about. I have asked Miss Fern how did Claude happen to lose the medal name. You see, she won't tell me a thing.
I don't know, Mrs. Daigle, truly.
Now, you know more than you're telling, Miss Fern. You're a sly woman because of that school, aren't you? You don't want that school to get a bad name. You know more than you tell him his butter wouldn't melt fern. There is something funny about this whole thing now. Now, I have said so over and over again to Mr. Taker. You see, he married quite late, you know, in his 40s. Of course, I was not exactly what you call prize catch myself. We won't have any more children. No more.
Darling, please let me take you home and you rest now.
No, rest, sleep? If you can't sleep at night, you sure can't sleep in the daylight. No, there is something funny about this whole thing, Christine. Now, I heard that your little girl was the last one that saw him alive. Now, is that true, huh? Now, ask her about those last few minutes, would you? And tell me what she says. See, now, maybe she remembers some little thing. Now, I don't care how small it might be, understand? No matter how small it might be. Let me tell you something. Miss Fern dyes her hair. And that woman right there, she knows something and she won't tell me. Oh, my little Claude. My little Claude, what'd they do to you?
I will ask Rhoda, Hortense, if only I knew.
Don't you see, Christine, somebody took that medal off his shirt. They just took it off because, you see, it couldn't come off by accident because it had a pin that locks in place. Now, I pinned it on myself, you see. It was no accident. My, you wear such simple things, don't you? I never could wear those simple things. I couldn't even buy them. You see, I get them home, they don't look so simple. He was such a lovely, dear little boy. He used to call me his sweetheart. You know, he said he was going to marry me when he grew up. I used to laugh. I'd say, no, you won't now. You are going to find a pretty girl and you're going to marry her and you're going to forget all about me. And you know what he said then? He said, no, I won't, Mommy. Because there's not a prettier girl in the whole world than you are. And if you don't believe me, now you ask the girl that comes in and cleans because she was present at the time.
Darling, don't.
Please do not put your arms around me. You don't give a damn about me. No, you don't. You're a superior person and all that, and I'm just some... No, forgive me. No. It's just he had those bruises on his hands. And that peculiar crescent-shaped mark that the undertaker covered up. Because, you see, he must have bled before he died. That's what the doctor said. And where's that penmanship medal? Huh? Who took that penmanship medal, Miss Fern? I would like to know what became of that medal. If I knew, I'd have a good idea what happened to him. I don't see why you took it upon yourself and put your arms around me. I am just as good as you are, and Clyde was better than your little girl. That's right, because he won the penmanship medal and she didn't. I'm drunk. It's a pleasure to stay drunk when your little boy's been killed. I'm not feeling very good right now. I think I better just lie down.
Oh, no. Come on, you can lie down there.
Sure. Why not go home and lie down? And then goodbye, all.
I'm terribly sorry, Mrs. Penmar.
Why? Now, just who cares what they think? I drank a half a bottle of bonneted corn in little sips. And I'm drunk as holy hell.
any little thing I could to tell her, but nothing seems to help.
Nothing ever will help.
I'll be getting back. Oh, thank you for bearing with her and with me. Goodbye, Mrs. Penman.
I will talk to Rhoda. I know there's nothing that will help that poor creature, but I'll do what I can.
We'll both have to do what we can.
Goodbye. I have to live with her till she dies.
Yes, till she dies.
Hello? Yes, operator, this is she. Kenneth! Kenneth, darling, how are you? The little boy who was drowned? Oh, no, Rhoda. It's her usual self. She's reading in the park across the street. I just waved to her. Do you really, darling? I hope it won't be too much longer. 4 weeks is a long, long time. Kenneth, I love you. All right, dear. No, don't keep him waiting. Call as often as you can. All right, dear. Goodbye. Mom.
Yes, Christine. Everyone with Tippi and conversation. But I do have an errand this time, not just Gab.
Come in, please.
It's Rhoda's locket I'm using for an excuse. I have actually found a place where they will change the stone and clean it all in one day. Of course, they didn't agree to this unusual effort without a little pressure. In fact, I had to threaten.
Not really.
Oh, you don't know the old busybody. She uses pressure, influence, bribery, blackmail. And I had to pull them all on poor old Mr. Payson. He said this little job would take at least 2 weeks.
I'll get the locket. I know where she keeps it. Good.
I told him straight that as I was handling the community chest again this year, and if he was as busy as all that, I Oh, you found it. But darling, she keeps her treasures so carefully. It's a kind of a miserly delight.
Shall I wrap it?
No, I shall just drop it into my purse. And now I take to the air. Only do forgive me for bursting in and rushing out, darling.
No ceremony, please.
Oh, no ceremony, please. Just plain pragmatism. Goodbye, John.
Goodbye, Mom.
Did you want me to come in, Mother, when you waved?
So you had the medal after all. Claude Daigle's medal.
Where did you find it?
What was the penmanship medal doing in the drawer of your table? Now I want you to tell me the truth.
Mother, when we move into our new house, can we have a scuppernong arbor? Can we, Mother? It's so pretty and shady, and I love
Answer my question. And remember, I'm not quite so innocent about what went on at the picnic as you may think. Miss Fern has told me a great deal, so please don't bother making up any story for my benefit. What was Claude's medal doing in the drawer of your table? Now I'm waiting for your answer.
Why, I don't know how the medal got there, Mother. How could I?
You know very well how the medal got there. Now, did you go on the wharf at any time during the picnic, at any time at all?
Yes, Mother, I went there once.
And was it before or after you were bothering Claude?
I wasn't bothering Claude. What makes you think that?
Why did you go on the wharf?
It was really early, when we first got there.
Why did you go on the wharf? You knew it was forbidden.
One of the big boys said there was little oysters that grew on the pilings. I just wanted to see if they did.
Stop that. One of the guards said that he saw you come off the wharf, and he says it was just a little before lunchtime.
I don't know why he says that. He's wrong. And I told Miss Fern he was wrong. He hollered at me to come off the wharf, and I did. I went back onto the lawn, and that's where I saw Claude. But I wasn't bothering him.
What did you say to Claude?
I said, if I didn't win the medal, I'm glad you did.
Oh, Rhoda! I know you're an adroit liar, but I must have the truth.
But it's all true, Mother, every word.
One of the monitors said that she saw you try to snatch the medal off Claude's shirt. Now, is that all true, every word?
Oh, that big girl was Mary Beth Musgrove. She told everybody she saw him. Even Leroy knows she saw him. You see, Claude and I were just playing a game we'd made up. He said if I could catch him in 10 minutes and touch the medal with my hand, it was like prisoner's base. Then he'd let me wear the medal for an hour. How could Mary Beth say I took the medal? I didn't.
She didn't say you took the medal. She said you tried to snatch it off Claude's shirt and that he ran away down the beach. Rhoda, did you have the medal even then?
No, Mother, not then.
How did you get the medal?
Oh, I got it later on.
How?
Claude went back on his promise, and I followed him up the beach. Suddenly he stops and said I could wear the medal all day if I gave him 50 cents.
Stop that. Is that the truth?
Yes, Mother, I gave him 50 cents and he let me wear the medal.
Then why didn't you tell this to Miss Fern when she questioned you?
Oh, Mommy, Miss Fern doesn't like me at all. I was afraid she'd think bad things about me if she knew that I had the medal.
Rhoda, you knew how much Mrs. Daigle wanted the medal, now didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Then why didn't you give it to her? Mrs. Daigle is heartbroken over the loss of her little boy. It's destroyed her. I don't think she'll ever get over it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, Mother, I guess so.
No, you don't know what I mean.
But it was silly to want to bury the medal pinned on Claude's coat. Claude was dead. He wouldn't know whether he had the medal pinned on him or not. Oh, I've got the prettiest mother. I've got the sweetest mother. If she wants a little boy that bad, why doesn't she just take one out of the orphan's home?
Rhoda, get away from me. Don't speak to me. We have nothing to say to each other.
Okay, Mother. Okay.
Rhoda, when we lived in Baltimore, there was an old lady who lived upstairs. Mrs. Clara Post, who liked you very much.
Yes?
You used to go up and visit the old lady every afternoon, and she would show you all of her treasures. And the treasure you admired most was a crystal ball in which opals floated. And the old lady promised this treasure to you when she died. And then one afternoon, when her daughter was at the supermarket shopping, the old lady somehow managed to fall down the spiral back stairs and break her neck. You said she heard a kitten mewing and went out to see about it. Somehow lost her footing and fell to 5 flights to the courtyard below.
Yes, Mother, it's true.
And then you asked the daughter for the crystal ball. She gave it to you, and it's still hanging there at the head of your bed.
Yes?
Rhoda, Rhoda, did you have anything at all, no matter how small, to do with the way that Claude got drowned?
What makes you ask that, Mother?
Rhoda, come here. Come here. Now look me in the eyes and tell me. I must know.
No, Mother, I didn't.
You're not going back to the Fern School next year. They don't want you.
Okay. Okay, Mother.
Call Miss Fern and ask her to come over here.
Oh, don't ask her. Something I lied to her.
You did lie to her.
But not to you, Mother, not to you.
Hello, Fern School. Miss Claudia Fern, please. No. No message. She's not there yet.
What would you tell her, Mother?